All right, so this is what we're going to start with in this video. Today is Easter Sunday, and in the last video we ended up getting the 3 baffles welded into that 6,000 gallon Nuhn manure tank. What we're going to do now is we're going to prime that metal that's on the inside of the tank. All we're going to do is prime the new metal. Everything else is what it is. Before we prime what's in the tank, what we put in the tank, we're going to prime these 2 panels that came off this 9620. Being that today is Sunday, I don't have much help kicking around here today, so it's a good day to fly up the shop with painting, or priming rather. We can get that done, and then what we'll do is we'll roll into the next part of the video, which will be putting this fan housing on the front of this tanker. Now, if you didn't follow along in the last video, if you didn't follow along, you won't know what we've done to this tank. And that panel right there is a baffle. There's 3 of those. This tank is 7 foot in diameter, and these compartments are about 6 foot long each, so there's 4 compartments. The baffles are in there to keep a lot of the slosh from happening inside the tank, and it also strengthens the tank as well. Now, we put these in 2 pieces, and then we joined them in the center. It was a little tough to get the complete circumference of the tank, because in all 3 spots it was, you know, the tank was just a little different. It wasn't quite the same circumference, or radius rather, all the way around there. So it took quite a bit of fit up to be able to get that in there. And my battery's going dead on this Milwaukee light, so we'll have to get a new battery in that. So what we did is we cut a hole in the front of the tank so that we could get the old panels out and get the new ones in. So once we get done painting in there, we'll have to put this strip back in there and weld that back in. But the first thing we need to do is we need to get everything primed. We're not going to put any paint. We're just going to use a really good primer in there, and that'll be good enough. We're going to start with the John Deere buff primer to put on these 2 panels. We'll empty the gun out on the inside of the tank, and then we're going to go to a urethane etching enamel primer to use on the inside, and that'll basically get it coated enough, and then after a while the manure is probably going to eat a lot of the paint off of it anyways. But if we get something on there initially to coat it, it'll protect it. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do a little cleanup in here. We use the forklift to hold the welder up over the side so that we could go down through the middle of the tank with the leads. I got to get this unstrapped, get it out of the way, and then we'll get to priming. Okay, so we're actually into the following day. We've got the inside panels, baffles painted. We ended up, or primed. We primed these 2 panels here too. So I had a paint cup's worth of John Deere primer, a full one. I did those panels first, and then I jumped in and I did the baffles. I got about half of the back side of the panel done with that 1 paint cup, and then I used some expensive urethane etching primer, and that stuff is expensive, and it only took 3 paint cups to prime both sides of these 3 baffles. That stuff, being that it's a little more expensive, covers really well. It's like a whitish grayish color, and although it is expensive, it went really far as how much it covered. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to weld this panel in, and we are all done inside the tank. Jared cut that hole in there so that we could get our pieces out and our pieces in. Once I get that welded, then I'm going to put the new fan housing on here, and we're going to get this slightly buttoned up. What's that got to have done?
Well, it's wore out.
Oh, okay.
This is the thing that I was originally going after, remember?
Okay.
So it's got to be somehow filled in.
Yeah. All right.
It's been cobbled up here too, and that's got to be...
All right, so we'll have to fix that as well. All right.
Basically a new band somehow. I don't know how you do that. How's it going?
We'll be able to get it. So, yeah. All right, I think we are now ready to put this housing on the front of the spreader. I've got that patch all well, not a patch, but I got that piece welded back in, and Jared brought it to my attention that the throat on front of the spreader here, where it comes into the fan housing, was wore out. Now he put a scab in on top here. He welded that in one day with the fan housing on there, and he put another piece in on this other side because it was done wore out, and it had a hole coming right through. So my original intention was to cut this all off of there and go into it with a new piece of pipe, because all that is like 10-inch pipe. It only have to be about 4 inches long. So I sent Christian over to Cuffs. What I was going to do, once I cut this off, we had to get this, we would have had to have gotten this all back into place in the right orientation with where it's at, because the housing has to bolt on to here and there, so our holes have to be perfect. What I was going to do is I was going to take a piece of angle iron, drill 2 holes in it there, bring that across, match it to these 2 holes. I probably was going to have to take a piece of 1/4 inch material, drill 2 holes in it long enough to come up to the angle iron, weld it to it, and then do the same thing across the bottom so that we had something to work as a jig to get this clocked right and in there right. We didn't want it to be off so much as even 1/8 of an inch. So I was thinking about how I was going to do that. I had a plan all in place, and he comes back here with a piece of tubing. It was supposed to be Sked 40 pipe, but it wasn't. It was just regular tubing that actually fit inside, but it was a little loose. So what I did is I cut the piece of tubing lengthwise. I cut a piece 4 inches long. I cut it lengthwise. When I did that, the pipe spread itself out. When it spread itself out, it fit the inner part of this housing perfectly. So then I made a gap in that. I cut a little bit more out of it so that I had an even measurement, which was 2 inches. And I stuffed a piece of flat stock in that was 2 inches wide. Now I didn't show that to you guys, but I should have. I formed that so that it would fit the radius of that pipe, and then I welded it lengthwise. Then I took that same piece of light tubing and I pushed it right, another piece fit inside there tightly, so I have it double wrapped. With light tubing. I am not quite, well, I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1/4 of an inch of material there. The next time this wears out, we'll cut it out and do it correctly, but I was dealing with the materials that I had, and that's how we did it. So it'll take a long time to wear through. It'll have to wear through 2 pieces. We should be pretty good. So we've got that all welded in there. Now we are just going to, and then, well, I welded around the outside. I kept it back a little ways so that I could leave the weld back in from this plate. I didn't bring it out right flush. And then I did the same thing on the back side there. I had the inner piece a little longer than the outer piece, and then what I did is I married all 3 pieces of steel together at the same time when I welded around that. So that's that, and you can kind of see back in there right where that agitation pipe is that we put in there. I don't know if you guys seen that on the last video or not, but this box has a diverter. It's either going to switch the material, the manure, from agitate, which is this tube here, which runs the length of the tank on the inside of the tank, or it just runs this flopper. Either way, it'll either run it to agitate, which it puts the manure back into the tank and circles it around, or it'll run it through this pipe that runs along the outside portion of the spreader. It goes back to a spread plate and or the injector. So long as I've got Lefty here, I'm gonna have him help me get this housing into place, and we'll get that bolted up on there. Right?
Help with that? I took it off by myself.
Tiger?
I had no help.
You had no help?
No, I got it
well,
off.
We need to delicately put it on there, you know.
Coming off's the easy part.
Yeah.
Put it
Yeah.
back on, it's hard.
Yep. Just remember, it always goes in a lot easier than it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That goes for the different facets of life, too. All right.
Sir.
Turn that 180.
Right. There we go.
Right in there somewhere. All right, so we have this all, well, we've got the front plate bolted down to this housing. Now we'll just carry this over and bolt it on the front of the spreader. Once we get this housing bolted on the front of the spreader, and then we will bolt the fan onto it as well. And then we've got to put a drain on there and hook up the hydraulic cylinder. And then what we can do is work on the rear of the spreader. We've got new hitch pieces to go on to it. That's where the injector is going to go onto the back of the spreader. We've got new frames and lift arms for it. So let's go ahead and carry this unit around, and we'll get it put on the front of the spreader. So we've just got to get our bolt fasteners on that, and then get our fan installed. Sarge has got the Diller trailer in here. He had a wheel loosen up on this the other day and ruined the rims and a hub on this one side. Jared and Alex are working on a manure pipe. Alex is doing some welding on a pipe that is mounted to the concrete where it goes down in underground, and it broke off of the there's like a PVC pipe that comes up. They had to cut that down a little lower, and what they're making now is a metal pedestal so that it'll be supported from that rather than it hanging from the plastic. Is that gonna leak?
Hopefully not.
You want to turn that?
Yeah.
Push the flange right. Yeah, that'll work. Alright. So Sarge has got a new hub on there, a couple of new rims, and then this will be able to be rolled out the door. Alright, so we've got everything done on the front of this spreader. We've got new linkage arms and new frames to bolt to the back where the injector is going to be hooked onto from. However, we ran into a little bit of a snafu. The holes on this frame, they originally had 1.1/8" bolts that held the old arms on. However, these frames or arms or what have you, they have 1.25" holes in them. We bought all 1.25" bolts. We have to ream those holes out. I did not have an 1.25" reamer, so I had to order one of them, and that just came in here last night. So this project has been sitting off for a couple of days here. We're finishing it up now. We've got our new cylinders and linkage arms that are going to go on there. So in the meantime, what we have done is we painted these panels and working around getting this hood together, and then Jared's been working on this manure pump here. This manure pump was new, what, a year ago? And she's fresh wore out. It had the tube wore, so he cut that tube off. He's just going to put a new section on here. There's an agitation valve that goes on somewhere in this vicinity. It's a straight nozzle, not a curved nozzle like that one there. Our other pumps are a little different in this one. This one's got, I think they call it a Jamesway gearbox down on the bottom end here. Our other ones, what they have is a shaft that goes all the way up through, well, this is not a gearbox, this is a bearing box. Our other ones have a shaft that is hooked direct to the fan housing that goes up to the gearbox. This one seems to have done pretty well. We had one of these before. We took the gearbox off, or the bearing box, and changed it over to an H5. So after we get this spreader together, we're going to work on that project there. So what we're going to do is we are going to grab onto this drill here, and we're going to go ahead and ream these holes out so that we can get these frames up on there. After your boot change, you going to be ready to hold on to this drill? Cool. All right. What do you think there, Nathan?
I don't know.
You want to hold on to it, don't you? I'll let you hold that. You ready? Maybe this will fit between the tire now. The other side is just barely wet. Hold on to her there, boy. I had you on that one side. I only had half an arm on there. She caught a little bit, didn't she?
Oh man. I don't remember what I was drilling on what brake, but that thing came around and hit me in the leg.
I was taking a drill bit out of this one time and hit the trigger. Oh,
That's good.
always want to unplug it when you do that. But, well, we'll put these arms up on there and throw some bolts in them. Ah! I'll be talking to you, buddy. Alright, we got this hitch all on there. Nathan's gonna back in on it up on the injector here. And we're gonna make this work. He brought the injector up here so that we could ream these bottom holes out. And I'm currently on the phone with him right now. Keep coming straight back, Nathan. Take it to the right a little bit. Very good, a little more. A little more, yeah, come straight back. Straight back. Straight back. All right, that's almost there. Turn, get the spreader to move to the right a little bit. Yeah, that should do it. Come back about 6-8 inches. All right, hold up right there. We are close to the hydraulic fitting. Go down a little bit. Valves are on. Hose is hooked up. All right, so we'll get this hooked up and then we'll show you guys what things look like once we get everything. Okay, it's coming down now. Let it roll forward. Hold up right there. Let it roll forward about 2 inches. Okay, that's good right there. Hold up. Okay, Nate, come back. Let your cylinder down. Just let that hang. Alright. Go. You got where they have the length of the old ones. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's the same plane here. We could be, that wouldn't matter. Alright, so here's your bolt. Try going up just a little bit. Keep going. Whoop. A little more. 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 Whoop. Right there. Just a touch. Yeah. Alright, so we have this all coupled together. Christian's getting that knot on there. You could go up very slowly.
That's not
Oh boy. I'm just watching these fittings, making sure they're out of the way. Alright, that's all the way, and we are fully up in the air, like right up in the air like that angle. That's beautiful. Alright, so what we're going to do here now is we're just going to tighten these nuts up, and then we are going to hook our hose up that goes down back to the feeder pipe that's on the right hand side of the spreader. We're not so sure if the hose is going to be long enough. This framework here is back 6 inches further than where the old one was, so that means we might be 6 inches shorter on the hose. The only way that hose is going to work is if it was too long to begin with. Gotta tighten these nuts up here, and then they can pull this out, and we'll wait for a sunny day to actually use this tanker. We've got quite a bit of money into this. I don't know what that front housing costs. I would have to look that up. But we've got over $2,000 worth of metal on the inner part of the tank. We had to replace this bearing and this yoke assembly, and then this shaft assembly never had a shear pin in it, so we ended up putting a shear pin style drive coupler up on this front end. Now you're going to be saying, geez, you got to get a cover on there. Well, you don't have the spreader running when you're outside of the spreader. So we have a shroud that goes over the top of that, but it's just a pain in the ass when it comes time to service the drive line. So with that being said, that is gonna do it for this video. Any thoughts for the day, Nathan?
Any thoughts for the day?
You had a good one the other day, and Don't tell me you're not going to share it with us.
We already shared that one.
Well, maybe they need to hear it again.
You can lead a horse to water, but you still need a ladder to in the ass.
There you go.